do think that that is because I think in any other period, again, it's because a window of opportunity is open for it. I think it's important to strike while the iron's hot because I don't think that the window is going to be open forever.
Yeah, and to be clear, like we absolutely, Congressman Blumenauer has been pushing for descheduling, I think, longer than anybody else in Congress, and it's a huge priority. And Schedule 3 is a huge step in that direction. A willingness to finally get it out of Schedule 1 and acknowledge that marijuana was scheduled on substance or on stigma, not substance, not on the science, and that it's time to at least reschedule as a step in the right direction. And then I think it's up to the rest of us, to Congress, to the advocates, to the public, to really hold us all accountable to continue down the right path and make sure that that is a step in the right direction.
I'm going to really scare you now, Sonia, and tell you what New Jersey does. Really? Ready? Do you know what New Jersey does right now? And Pennsylvania and New York and Delaware. They, at the state level, dual schedule cannabis. You realize that New Jersey, New York, Delaware, and Pennsylvania haven't removed marijuana from the state Schedule 1 in their CSAs, but they've created new legal definitions for cannabis. So now you have quantum cannabis, where the same plant exists in different galaxies of the law simultaneously. What if the DEA does that? What if the DEA doesn't like moving marijuana from Schedule 1, but does like describing medical cannabis as Schedule 3? I think, again, if they took a lesson from the states, it would be a bad example, and we'd be in an even more complicated mess. So I don't like the DEA. They don't like us. They do mean, nasty things. And when it comes to policy, they run out the clock. What was the last one, Paul? 8 years before they showed up in court? Seriously. So the idea that the DEA is the final authority on this, also, I hear you. Administratively, DEA is final authority, but let's be clear. President Biden can send a letter to the HHS directing descheduling at any time. And it's the same letter that was sent for the scheduling review. I see what happened with the scheduling review as due diligence for descheduling. And quite frankly, the answers are getting back from the DEA. I love it. Keep doing it. Keep having the HHS and DEA in conflict, because that's when executive action can solve it.
And I think that's, to get back to today's event, was what I found very, very encouraging to see the vice president put that pressure on timing. DEA is independent, but to have that level of executive kind of watch and pressure is something we haven't seen before, and something that I think will move us in the right direction at the very least.
Yeah, I do think that is one fundamental difference between this effort and all the previous ones is A, we've never known what HHS recommended DEA to do. And we've been well aware now for some time what HHS has recommended. And we've certainly never had pressure from an administration where the DEA knows that they are being very closely watched with respect to when they make this decision and what decision they make. And that leverage may encourage this agency to act in a way this time that they never have previously.
JM pointed out that they removed marijuana from the CSA entirely from, cannabis is removed entirely from the state CSA in Virginia. So that's good news. Again, that looks forward to this. And we tried to talk them into that in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New York, but they refused to address the scheduling at the state level. So I'm glad to hear that JM and Virginia dealt with that, because I think that if every state would do that, it's key. There's a sunset clause too. When we talk about Schedule 3 or descheduling, some state medical marijuana laws and even some state CSAs have some sunset clauses that would trigger at that moment. So that is an interesting aspect of this, but that's nothing that we covered in the White House today.
Yeah, and to quickly get back to the White House, and Morgan, I don't know how much time we have. Are there other key moments, points in the discussion that folks who were not in the room should be aware of, that we should be